Hello, everyone. We have some exciting content coming your way. We are planning to do a watch along for the Chelsea versus Man City game. We picked that game because it looks like these two teams are going to challenge for the title come the end of the season. But we know how football goes; you never know. But at this point in time, this seems like it's going to be an exciting game between two strong teams. So we thought we would have a watch along, and we're hoping that you guys could join us and have a chat uh, about the game. Um, and we will put out the link for that as well on our socials and probably as a message. But yeah, just a heads up on that.
Yeah, and everyone, we are six short of having 200 subscribers, and we appreciate the support. I really, really hope you'd get us across that line. It'd be great to have 200 subs. Hey, it'd be great to have 10,000 subs, but then we can start at 200. So.
Yes, absolutely. So please do hit that subscribe button. And yeah, enjoy the video. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel, All About the W. My name is Sky. I am joined, as always, by my co host and our resident football expert, Ash. Ash, how you been?
I mean, it's hard to be a Spurs fan on weeks like this, but I'm holding it in.
Right. Yeah. It's been a tough week, and um, you know, we expected, I feel like we were hoping for some kind of an upset this weekend, but it just didn't come. And it just kept getting progressively worse. But yeah, we are here to review the game week 7 of the Barclays Women's Super League. And it started out as a bit of a goal fest, but kind of finished with a whimper, in that nil-nil draw between um, a United and Villa. But let's maybe get started with the Arsenal Brighton game, the first fixture of the weekend. Arsenal winning 5-0 against Brighton. Goals for Arsenal from Beth Mead, Caitlin Ford, Frida Monum, Lena Hurtig, and Alessia Russo. Big list for Arsenal for a change. Um, so what did you make of Arsenal's performance? Because it was good to sort of see them shooting with confidence, and the game was pretty much done by halftime, right? So, what did you make of the game uh, against Brighton?
I think Arsenal were very, very good. And I think that there isn't a player in Arsenal, I think, that didn't play well. I thought their midfield was good. They were finally shooting. And like everything was just clicking. But I also feel like this isn't a turnaround for Arsenal. Like when they score early, they always look like a dominant team. Like the questions get asked of Arsenal when they don't score that early goal, because then they get antsy, and like questions are asked about their goal scoring abilities because they try too hard to force a goal. But like that wasn't the case in this game. Like uh obviously Brighton left space and there was opportunities to be had, but I thought Arsenal made the best of them. Everything was going in. Poachers' goals were going in. Shots from distance were going in. Even the ball that hit the post almost went in. I just feel like there was just no stopping Arsenal in this game.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I feel like I don't know if you mentioned this in the previous episode, but this was something that I definitely felt because Arsenal usually struggle against teams that sit back. Like Brighton, despite like playing a back three and overloading, like usually they play with like a 3-4-3 or sometimes a 3-5-2. Um, like despite having that kind of a shape, like their intention is always to move forward with the ball. They are a very like progressive team in that sense, and um, which means there's always going to be space in between. And I was talking to a friend, and I was telling her this. that I definitely saw this coming with Brighton because, you know, I feel like they've not been punished. This is also something we discussed earlier. Like Villa and Brighton look very similar, but somehow Brighton are getting results, but Villa are not. And like part of it is just that, like, I feel like in some games, despite not having like the best of performance, Brighton were not really punished by the opposition. And I think in this particular game, like, you know, they looked so like they'd lost their shape a lot throughout the game on multiple occasions when they lost the ball. And Arsenal's press was really good. Like I feel like, Arsenal are a team in the league. I think Arsenal and Man City are the team, and maybe even Liverpool are the teams that press really well. Like they can have a coordinated press. It gets really difficult to play through them. So, like for a team like Brighton, despite having that quality in the back line to play out from the back, they still struggled, right? And they were so out of shape on multiple occasions. And I feel like the thing is, they have looked fairly organized to me, at least. Like I feel like they have been fairly organized, barring that game against Manchester United, where I really felt, they got really lucky to not lose that game. But yeah, I mean, Vidasic made some changes. Bruna going on the bench and Seke coming in, and I thought Seke had probably had the best moments in the game. I think the one shot on target sort of comes from her. But
Yeah.
yeah, they literally had like two good attacks in the entire game. So I'm sure they're very disappointed with that performance.
Yeah, to be fair, I think the one shot on target, there was a slight deflection also. So, but I do think that Seke was really bright when she did come on. She could have made a little bit more of some of the shots because the goalkeeper and the defender seemed to know, like it seemed very like predictable. So
Mm,
they may want to work on sort of, she may want to work on making it a little bit less so,
mm,
like being less red. But on the whole, I think there wasn't much. It was just like a Brighton were totally turned over. There wasn't much they could do. um it was a completely dominant Arsenal performance, especially because they lost those two goals early on, and after
mm.
that Brighton was just playing catch up. Like
Yeah.
uh, that second goal was for me very like definitive of the game, because it was those quick little 1-2 passes between Little and Fox, and I was just like, this is like Arsenal in a nutshell. When they're good,
Mm,
they're so good at just this one
yeah.
touch, quick passing, little triangles, and into the goal the ball went. To me, like that was like, if they can replicate that every game, they would be unstoppable.
Yeah. They were moving the ball around a lot more quickly. And I think to some extent what you said about getting that early goal, because plays a part, because sometimes they just get very like stuck in their head, I feel, trying to like overplay the ball or making the wrong pass or something. But yeah, I mean, from like an Arsenal perspective, I think I saw some fans saying that, well, some by some fans I mean like my sister and like three people I follow on Twitter say that they can't remember the last time Arsenal scored 5 goals in the WSL. So I'm sure like for that dressing room, it is something that's instilling like a lot of confidence in them at this point. Maybe like a game like this is what you need to um, you know get that confidence to even break down like a low block. You never know, and
Yeah.
we will find out next week. uh,
Yeah, just the confidence to shoot. I mean, the number of times, even even when they didn't score, the number of times they just took a shot from outside the box, that sort of confidence, I think that comes from being 2 goals up, because
yeah,
then you have the comfort to be like, okay, if this doesn't go in, it's not like we're going to lose the game.
yeah, absolutely. Is there any particular player that stood out for you from
Oh, yes,
Arsenal?
definitely. Special shout out to McCabe. So she was just instrumental. Like every ball she put into the box looked like a potential goal. Especially that ball in the first goal by Mead. But even the corners, just the perfect angle on like every ball. I don't know, like bend it like McCabe. Like she was great.
Yeah. Oh God, do not let Katie McCabe fans hear you say this. I feel like that's something that will catch up quite a bit, considering how much her fans love her. But yeah, maybe Ash, I know like it's just something we have to get through. Hang in there. But um, we have to talk about Man City versus Spurs. Uh, Finishing 4-0, a customary hat trick from Bunny Shaw. Goals in the first minute, and this has to be some kind of a record. I'm sorry, like 23 seconds is just quite. I mean, I feel like it's the most Bunny Shaw thing you can think of, you know. Just when like the center backs are like, oh, you know, we'll get into the game, let's go, and then it's like in the back of the net. But goals from Shaw in the first 15th and 67th minute, and from Jill Road in the 66th minute. I mean, I felt for Claire Hunt, man. I feel like Claire Hunt got that, you know, like a WSL welcome of sorts, like getting bodied by Vanisha. I feel like it's something every centre back has to experience a rite of passage. Um, but yeah, we have to do this. So, Ash, like, tell me what is your assessment of the game?
So the thing is that it's really hard to be a Spurs fan. Okay, like I love this club, but they make it so hard for you to love them because nobody as a Spurs fan. I don't expect to win every game. We're not Chelsea or City or Arsenal even where we can expect to win every game, and definitely not go away to City and win that game. So realistically, I don't think any Spurs fan was expecting us to win that game. But last season we've seen the way City has sort of decimated us. The expectation was that at least we'd put up a fight. Like Rob's had this job now for the second year, in second year running, and I thought that at least now we'd have improved upon playing it out from the back, and just basic sort of skills to move the ball forward so that we'd at least put up a fight. I'm not even saying steal a draw. I'm saying have a goal. At this point it's just down to just very small basic requirements that I have from the club. And the Hunt thing, our defenders have switched off so often, and it's very like a trademark now for the defenders to have at least one moment when they switch off. And that of course is not down to coaching, but I will say that like there was this point after the third goal where the commentator said Spurs are broken, and I feel like that's the perfect description. Like the attack doesn't work, the defense certainly doesn't work.
Mm,
And in the game, the midfield was also floundering under the weight of City's charge. And
yeah.
at this point, it's not like we can just get one or two players in the transfer market and fix these problems. There's so like if we buy a player to bolster our defense, or if we buy another midfielder or an attacker, it's not going to solve the issues at this point because we're making basic mistakes playing out from the back, and like that's down to coaching. Um, you know, I do certainly hope that we get another goalkeeper to compete with Spencer, but Spurs are looking at Jennifer Falk from BK Harkin. Let's see if that amounts to anything. But I'm not holding out hope. And in this game, uh, even though uh, even though like playing out from the back, it helps to have a ball playing goalkeeper. I do think
Hmm.
that there isn't anything Spencer could have really done to change significantly change the score line. So,
Yeah.
I can't say that there was any one player apart from maybe Hunt in that early goal where I can say
Yeah.
that you are the fault or you're the reason it's not working. Just as a unit, we're just not clicking. And in fact, I feel like
Yeah.
we're worse than we were last year. Because at
Oh
least
yeah.
at this point last year, there was some we could take we could take some heart from when we were playing the mid-tier teams or when we were playing the lower tier teams that we looked like a competitive side. And I don't think that apart from that Crystal Palace game where we beat them 4-0, and that was very early in their season, that I don't think there's any game in which I have felt that way, that that there's been an improvement in any significant
Hmm.
category.
Yeah. Another thing I felt was when Spurs are playing out from the back, you know, like there was this one moment after the first goal, probably in the third minute or so, like you could see Claire Hunt was rattled. Like you could see it in her face.
Yeah.
Like it was like she looked like she has no idea what she signed up for here. And like there's this one pass that I think Ashley Neville or somebody further, I think maybe Metal Winberg, who makes that back pass to Claire Hunt, which just comes
Yeah.
up at a height, right? um, it comes up at like a very awkward height at an awkward angle where she just like kicks it out of play from all the way from the left hand side.
And there was
She
no
kicks it.
pressure.
Yeah, there wasn't any pressure, and I'm like thinking that shows like a lack of trust and a lack of support. Like if you and I are playing together and you have that moment against Bunny Shaw, like I would maybe not make that pass. You know what I'm saying? I'd maybe try
Yeah.
and hold on to the ball and wait to make a better pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it I don't know if that's reflective of something that's brewing in the dressing room a little bit. A lack of trust, a lack of something like telepathy sometimes that you need.
We had a comment, I think 2 videos ago from someone, I think it was a City fan, who said that there seems to be something wrong in the Spurs dressing room. And I
Mm.
would, like, obviously these things don't really get reported, but I would not be surprised if that was the case, because I feel like there has been a loss of confidence in like Rob's tactics, even like the fact that we had that terrible first half, and really there was no difference in the second half. Like nothing was really significantly changed. Even when the subs came on, like the way we played didn't change at all. And I'm wondering if that's just tactical naivety from Rob. I'm not saying
Right.
stop playing attacking football, that is the Spurs way, right? To
Yeah.
dare is to do. But the only time we have beaten City in the past is when we've just hung on for dear life, and that's also the
Yeah.
only way we've beaten Arsenal. So
Mm.
there are some teams where you have to just, like, as a manager, realize that this team is better than me, like, and we will not be able to cope with their pressure. So
Yeah.
maybe it might be a good idea to
Yeah.
just you know lob the ball out to midfield and make a play for it there. Like, I'm not saying do
Yeah.
that every time. I actually believe in playing out from the back is a better strategy in terms of keeping the ball. But
Right.
when you have players of the quality of City, you're never going to keep the ball.
Yeah. That's fair. I think it's going to be another interesting test for Rob with the North London Derby coming up next week.
My, I really
Yeah,
hope it's not
maybe.
5.
Ah, I mean, listen, I don't know if you remember the run of games last season, but I think if I remember correctly, you lost 7-0 to Man City, you lost 5-0 to Man United, and then you
Yeah.
beat Arsenal in the next match in the North London Derby. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, to be sure, it's our cup final. It's like if we play badly all season and we beat Arsenal, I'm okay with that
Yeah,
on some.
yeah. That is a bragging. That's all the bragging rights you need. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll move on to the Liverpool Chelsea game.
Yeah, so the Liverpool Chelsea game was like Ramirez 37 minutes. Scored in the 42nd minute, and then Aggie Beaver Jones scored in the 90th minute. Um, How did you like? I thought Chelsea looked dominant throughout. It was a great game for them. What did you feel about the Chelsea performance?
Um, I think this was a game that put me at ease. Um, Thinking about the Chelsea team a little bit because up until this point, I felt I've been a little concerned about our inability to like control games against like better teams, I'd say. Like for instance, like that Villa game, it finished 1-0. Like, I mean, Hannah Hampton had to make like a couple of good saves in like stoppage time. Against, even in the Champions League against Real Madrid, where we basically had to sort of yeah, we let teams back into the game. Even Arsenal, like we kept going deeper and deeper and deeper. Like we kept sitting deeper and deeper. And you don't need to do that with the quality that you have. So there was something about not being able to control games. And I think this was a game where Chelsea were in control pretty much throughout. Like, of course, there were moments when Liverpool had like a, oh, bless you. Liverpool had like a good attack. And it was it was very it just made me feel happy about Chelsea, like a Chelsea performance, because of course, like Chelsea have either even the Spurs game, for instance, uh, like you give away a needless free kick, like a needless foul, it's a free kick and like Sumanan scores, you know. Like, so like in terms of controlling the game, holding on to the ball, we just looked really assured in this game, and I actually felt really happy and proud. Um, I was like a little concerned that the midfield would get overrun a little bit, like naturally by like the shape they have. But I think, Micah Hamano, I've been really impressed with Micah. Like that's a position where she will have to compete in the future once Macario is fully fit and Lauren James comes back. But you know, Micah as well as Kuro, like who's now cutting, and she, until last season under Emma Hayes, she was very much like a touchline, like she was a wide player, proper.
Yeah,
She is like the person who would like bring wit to the team, um, and Bompastor sees her a bit differently, and it's good to see Guru like having slotted into that role with her like cutting inside a little more, inverting a bit. Um, yeah, and I thought overall everybody had a pretty good game. Nuskin has been quietly having good games for the team, which is always good to see. You want your defensive midfielder or whatever your pivot to have that quietly good game. Like you don't need like a flashy player who's just gonna uh, like crash the box and score a goal. I mean, if they do it, that's great. But at the same time, what you need is like somebody who puts in like a 7.5 performance like every week. um, yeah, I think the two players I mean, I want to shout out three players. I think I will start with Mayra Ramirez. Uh, my God, she's immense. Like, she is so, so good. Like, sometimes when I watch her play, and even when she's not scoring a goal, sometimes when I watch her play, I'm just like, that is like Emma Hayes' parting gift for Chelsea. What a player. Um, she had like a role to play in every goal, right? I
yeah,
mean, she scores the first one, she presses loss, which then she makes a poor pass to Brighton. Great finish, by the way. Like, what a finish from Guru. Um, but yeah, and the third goal, of course, she does that thing where she runs down the channel and she does that cutback, and that's something I love about her game. Like,
yeah,
her ability to run at defenders and beat them, but also just hold on to the ball because she's just
yeah,
so strong and like technically she's so good. Like her dribbling is really good, especially in those tight circumstances. And it's become a bit of a trademark. And her cutbacks are really good. Like not everyone can cut back when you're running at
yeah,
speed
yeah.
with that amount of accuracy.
Yeah.
So
Also, because that's also down to coaching, right? Because like you know exactly where your teammates are. Like you have to know to do those sort
exactly,
of comebacks. And I think that's on
yeah.
Sonia as well.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, it's not. This wasn't like a classic cut back to the penalty spot. It was like a little behind to
Yeah.
like really fine captain there, who scuffs the effort, but there is Aggie
Yeah.
Beaver Jones. But that's the first player, and I think like a player
just
who
just
hasn't.
before you move on to another player, like the Ramirez thing, like for me, it was that first goal. Okay, like I love when strikers score poachers goals. Like I think it was Canarid who got that first shot in. And
Yeah,
that was
candidate.
and that didn't go in, and then it just bounced around a little bit, and it got to Myra, and she just buried it in. And that's the job of a striker. If those the fancy footwork and the cool passes and the cool goals from outside the box, other people can do that. A striker goes day in, day out poach. And that's just
Yeah,
beautiful to watch when they do their job well.
that's true. Yeah, that's so true. Like, and I feel like even Aggie's goal in some ways is exactly that. She is so dangerous in the box. Like, she scored, I don't know, I think the stats are something like 12 goals in 13 games. Like, she scores every time she comes off the bench, she scores every time she starts, basically. Um,
Yeah.
and she is like a proper like threat in front of goal. But again, what she did was something very similar. Like, captain scuffs the effort, it's going wide. She just stops it in its tracks and like just sort of finishes it. And it's good to see people being that alert in the box. It shows like the amount of confidence that frontline has, which is amazing. But yeah, the other two players, I think, like a player who's probably not got a lot of flowers is Buchanan, because last season when Jess Carter left, like I personally was really concerned. She's one of my favorite players, and somebody who really carried the Chelsea team last season. So, and Buchanan had been in and out a lot. Never could start like a get like a few games back to back. But this season she slotted into the team really well, and I think she's putting in like really solid performances. So a big shout out to Buchanan. And the other person is of course Sandy Baltimore, like an incredibly talented player. She is playing out of position, and she is, you know, um, she's doing a really good job of it. Of course, she's not had like big tests in terms of her defensive work, but she's been really good as well. So yeah, big tests will come next week. Um, I
Yeah.
think.
Just a small word about Liverpool. Like I did, we've been asking them to play direct many times, and I do think that they tried to do that in this game. Like Kiernan Smith did manage to get a run in behind a few times, and I mean, potentially they could have hurt Chelsea, but like both of those times, like I didn't see it happening, personally. But that's because I don't have faith that Liverpool can score.
Yeah. No, actually, you know what? This started really fast. Like, I think for the first, I would say about 7, 8 minutes, Chelsea were like flailing a little bit with that directness with which Liverpool were playing. Um, but yeah, they just couldn't find that killer pass. Heinz had a couple of shots, didn't really amount to anything. Um, and I think, I mean, the setup was it was very clear, right? Like Kiernan and like Olivia Smith are both players who are fast, so running in behind was like the strategy. So um, yeah, I think the entirety of the first half kind of went in that. I maybe I guess I suppose like playing out from the back did cost them a little bit in that. I mean, I don't know if they were playing out from the back necessarily. So the thing is, for the second goal, right? I was a bit distracted, and suddenly I look up and I see like Rachel Loss like knee sliding into her own net, and I was like, "Did Rachel Loss score? What just happened?" And then I saw the replay, and I was like, "Oh wait, Guru like got the shot off really quickly." Um, but yeah, I mean, I what I did feel was that if they had pressed Chelsea a little bit in the first
Yeah.
half itself, they might have gotten a little more joy. This
I
playing
really
direct
wonder.
is just.
I wonder if they should just set up their line just a little bit forward. I do
Hmm.
feel like they set it up too far back, and then they just leave too much work to be done to move the ball up.
Correct. Yeah. So like that disconnectedness between the midfield
Yeah.
and the back line, yeah, it feels like a lot. You're right. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Liverpool were bad. I just think like I felt like Chelsea were really, really good. It was a
Yeah,
good
Chelsea
display
were
from
really good.
Chelsea. Yeah. Um,
Okay, on to United versus Villa. It was a nil-nil draw. This is the third draw. United are still unbeaten, but it is their third draw of the season. Points that I am sure that they will regret losing, dropping at the end of the season. What did you think of this game?
you know, um, it was a late kickoff, right? Like it started at like 12:30 a.m. for us here in India. Um, and in my head, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna watch this whole game. I'll just catch up on it tomorrow. But then I saw how badly United were playing, and I was like, wait, I gotta watch this. But listen, the infuriating part about this is they're so shit throughout the 90 minutes, right? Like there were like literally probably I could count on my fingers like good moments they had in the midfield or like wherever on the pitch, right? And most of those would point to Gabby George, by the way, best player.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't for Gabby George, Villa would have easily gotten 3 points here. But it's just Skinner's comments, man. Skinner being so defensive, and the way he was talking like he was talking like he's a pundit and not the manager of that football club. You know what I'm saying? He was talking as if it wasn't his job. It wasn't like his poor performance that resulted in his team's poor performance. He was putting like he was fully throwing the players under the bus. He was like, I will show them clips. They will realize what they did wrong. They knew that something was wrong, so therefore, like they were talking to each other at halftime. I'm like, you're the boss. Like, what are you doing? I find that man so infuriating. Oh my god.
No, it was really really funny. Okay, because to like actually if you think about it, like his like when he was in the post match interview, like his punditry was right in saying that like United need to be more compact both horizontally and vertically. But like what he left out, like what he didn't vocalize, is that it's the opposition that stretched United. That's why they couldn't be compact. And that's a coaching issue for which he took absolutely zero responsibility. He was like, instead of being like, oh, I should have changed things, or, if we weren't compact, there was like a tactical change that I could have made. Nothing. No acknowledgement that this is the team you put out and this is the strategy and tactics you went with. Instead, he's like, oh, you know why it's not working? Because our midfield is still a new midfield and this team is a new team. And I'm like, you have been manager for 4 years. You have had 4 years to build this team and like get it going. And you still haven't even figured out a midfield that works for you. Are you serious?
Yeah. And the frustrating thing is like that midfield, like he made a change, right? Look, like
Yeah.
the midfield not working for me, the funniest thing is they let their like most, I don't know, whatever, like the most regular presence in their midfield go in KT Zelam, who's also the club
Yeah.
captain. And now you're having to deal with this midfield. And fair enough, you make that change. You change your formation, you get Nalsson out, and you play like Clinton, Toon, and Janssen. Janssen is a single pivot, I think, was. And I don't know, like for me, I feel like Clinton. So thing is, he's not figured out. So like sometimes I feel like as a manager, you just pick a player and build the team around them. It's that
Yeah.
simple. Just pick a player, and for you, it has to be either Grace Clinton or Ella Toon. It's very simple. Like it's really not that complicated. And I feel like ever since Alessia Russo left, he's still not figured out a way to get the best out of Ella Toon. And now there is Toon and Clinton, and I feel like their styles in some ways clash with each other. Um, so then, like, you either figure out a system that works for both of them, or you bench one of them. It's
Yeah,
fine. Ella Toon is out of form. Like, bench her and like try and get the best out of Clinton. Like, you need to figure out that midfield. And I mean, I don't know, man. Skinner is just, they just looked so disconnected. They couldn't keep hold of the ball, and Villa was so good. Like, I feel like Villa had a really, really good performance. They really should be proud. They
yeah.
really broke up. They pressed well. They broke up play in the midfield really well. They just did not let it wasn't scrappy per se, but they just did not let United have any kind of momentum throughout the game. And they had so much energy. Like, I think 20 minutes in, I think the commentator pointed out the intensity with which Villa was playing, and it
Yeah.
made me wonder, like if they would be able to keep that up for 90 minutes. And I feel like to some extent they did.
And the funny thing is, United are at home. They have the fans behind them. They should be the ones with the intensity and the energy. Villa are the away team. Like they're the ones who should be cautious. And it felt like it was it. I felt like it was Villa at home and United away because that's the way they seem to have set up and that's the way they were playing. It was just. I mean, it was really sad to see, but Villa, I think, will be really proud getting that point. It's a really good point away from home, especially against I mean, supposedly better team. I think they would be very, very happy with that.
Yeah, I actually felt for the coach Robert De Boer, because he said, he's a. I think the journalist asked him, like, how does it feel to put in like such a good performance or something along those lines, and De Boer said, I'm really sick of putting in good performances but not coming away with the 3 points. It's really sad. I understand the frustration, because in this game Villa really could have won. They had some good chances. They just couldn't score, and I really hope that changes. But the change that worked, I personally think, and this is something I guess we called for in the last week, was to bring Staniforth in, and that
Yeah,
worked a charm. Like, it was so good. So, like, Staniforth brought in that energy that they needed in that midfield to hold on to the ball, because she has like a lot of strength, and she can shield the ball really well. Technically, she's pretty good. So, yeah, it's a shame they couldn't get their win. And I think they play Palace next. Hopefully, they can get their first win and like get that monkey off their back. But I think in some ways it's a bit of a contrast to Spurs with this team. Like, I feel like there is a bit of that togetherness in the way they played, if that makes sense. You know, like, they've had a really rough start to the season. Not winning, not getting a win 7 games in is really tough for a team like Villa, with the quality of players that they have. Like, those are not players who are probably used to these long, well, not losing streaks, but not winning streaks. You know what I'm saying? So clearly there is something that's working there. And even the way, like, DePau was speaking about the players, that he is really happy with their performances, and it's really nice. Yeah. I suppose maybe we can quickly talk about Palace and Everton, which finished 1-1. India Page Riley scoring in the first minute. Again, like a mess up in the back line for Everton. And Honoka Hayashi in the 72nd minute. A big shout out to her, like, she is a really good player. And like, I was really, credit to her for like rising the highest, even though she is the tiniest player on the pitch. Uh, but yeah, what did you make of it? Like, any thoughts on the Palace Everton game?
yeah. I actually thought that Palace were a little bit wasteful in this game. Um, like in front of goal, they were a little bit wasteful. They had several opportunities, especially towards the end of the game, to clinch it. And I do think that the way Everton played suited Palace because they were very, very, very defensive. They weren't able to get onto the ball at all. Apart from that one, like when they scored and they had a little bit of momentum for a very brief spell. apart from that, I think that it was mostly just Palace all the way. Like, so
Hmm.
personally, I think that Palace would be a little disappointed not to get 3 points from this game, and like I
Yeah.
really hope they don't regret that towards the end of the season. For Everton, I just feel a little bit sorry for them because I don't really know how they can improve. They're not going to be able to put any money into the transfer market. So it's not like they can get somebody in and, like a really good goal scorer in or do something like put like the way West Ham saved themselves last season. Everton can't replicate that because of their financial condition. So I just
Yeah.
don't see a way for them but down.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. The other fixture was West Ham versus Leicester, which finished 1-0. Vivian Asai scoring the goal in the 40, I mean, just before the end of the first half. Yeah, I think West Ham really did control the game. I think Leicester do have some injury woes, and I don't know how their manager is coping. It's not showing the results. It's not showing in the way they play. Maybe it's time for them to sort of think about like a different approach to how they play. Um, uh, yeah, I don't. I feel like they just look very toothless in attack at this point, and I feel like that takes away from the aggressive players that they do have. I feel like they have a lot of players who want to carry the ball forward, and it this system is not bringing the best out of them. But yeah, that's just about it. Do you want to do like quickly game week 8 predictions? It's a fun one.
Yes,
Yeah, first fixture is Brighton versus West Ham.
2-1 Brighton.
Yeah, I think probably 2-0 Brighton. I would say I think it's a good opportunity for Brighton to sort of get past that smashing that they experienced last week. So they might be a bit happy with that fixture. To be honest, it's not like somebody like I don't know, like maybe another team that's a tier above West Ham. Maybe like Aston Villa. Like in terms of quality, I'm not talking about like
Yeah.
play position on the table. North London derby, Spurs versus Arsenal.
Oh my God. At least it's at Spurs. That's all I can say. You know what? I don't care. It's North London Derby. Derby games, form goes out the window. So I'm just gonna go 1-0 Spurs. Same as last
Ooh, that's last words. Uh, oh, you said same as last time. I thought I heard famous last words. Sorry.
year.
Uh,
That
I'm so
too.
I think you know what. I think the last season uh, probably stung a little bit for Arsenal. So I would say Arsenal will win this 2-0. Um, Chelsea versus Man City.
Oh wow, this is the thriller. Um, I just there's no calling this game, so I'm just gonna go draw. I'm gonna go 2-2.
Yeah, I'll take a draw. Um, weirdly enough, this
Why
game.
would you take a draw? No, you should be like it's at Chelsea.
No, let
They're
me
at
finish.
home.
Let me finish. So, like, I'm gonna make it worse. The thing is, I feel like it's so early on in the season. Like Chelsea and City are like probably the two teams that are in contention for the title. You don't know how the season's gonna play out with like loss of form, injury, etc., etc., or gaining form. Who knows? Arsenal will gain form and then just like steamroll everybody. No, it'll never happen. Uh, but yeah, honestly, I'm not like I would even take a loss in this game. But no, you know what? Ideally, we should get a win. Sorry. Ideally, we should get a win, and I think 2-1 Chelsea would be like a convincing. I feel like this is that game. I feel mm, like between City and Chelsea, it's just been one of those who blinks first sort of a situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody's eagerly waiting to sort of, you know, start saying, "Oh, this team is better, that team is better," because they're not able to do that now, and this is like the perfect fixture for everybody to, you know. start voicing their opinions, put their fears at ease, whatever. So I would like to see Chelsea win 2-1. Yeah.
I do think that, Chelsea, the thing about Chelsea is I think that they're harder to beat than City in some ways. I'm saying this after a 4-0 loss to City, just by the way. But they're harder to beat than City because it's City is they have very standard goal scorers. Like if you can manage to keep Hemp and Shaw quiet for a large part of the game, it kind of I'm not saying that they can't score from other places, but it's less likely that they will score from other places. But with Chelsea,
Yeah.
it's like anybody can score because it's the system and not the players. So, like for
Yeah.
me, even if you keep Ramirez quiet, somebody else will pop in and score the goal. So I just
Yeah.
feel
No.
like Chelsea is just harder to beat in that sense.
Yeah, I agree. They also do have like players, like for example, like somebody like Jespa can just score from distance, stuff like that. Jill Road is good at crashing the box. I agree. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think tactically, like if you need like more than Bunny, I think if you can keep Lauren Hemp quiet, if
Yeah,
you can figure out a way to do that, because she's a player of the season for me so far, like an
yeah,
absolute pest, right? Just like
yeah.
running here, there, everywhere. And like sometimes I just watch her carry the ball and she's just on her own trip, she's just somewhere else. um
Yeah.
but tactically it's going to be interesting because like I feel like right back is like a bit of a weak spot for Chelsea. um but it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with him. Like, are they going to focus on this one player and see if they can like keep them quiet, or are they going to like look at like have a system in place, fully to manage the entire team? The thing about Bunny Shaw is that I haven't seen Bunny Shaw go up against Millie Bright in a while,
Yeah.
because Bright had been injured. Shaw also earlier last season had some injuries. So that's going to be like an interesting matchup on the pitch. It'll be fun. All right. Aston Villa versus Palace.
Villa versus Palace. I think Villa can win. I will win this. I'm gonna go 1-0 Villa.
Okay, I want Villa to have their flowers, to get their flowers. So I want Villa to win 4-0. I know it's Palace. You're kicking somebody when they're down. But I really want Villa to have a big win to get that
Yeah.
confidence, so maybe 4-0 Villa. Everton versus Liverpool, the Merseyside derby as well.
Everton versus Liverpool. I mean, Everton are just so bad. I say 2-0 Liverpool.
They play really well in the Merseyside derbies. But yeah, I don't see a way. Maybe it'll be a draw, like a 1-1 draw. I think that's like Liverpool have been dropping points with like against like weird teams. So I'm gonna say 1-1 draw. Um Leicester versus United.
Yeah, Leicester just. I mean, I wish I could predict a United loss, but because Leicester are just like so ho hum, I'm just gonna go 3-0 United.
Yeah. I think with Leicester, they're so bad going forward. Like, with like Everton or Palace, I can like you can say they can be unpredictable and get a goal from somewhere and win, or draw or whatever. But with Leicester, I just don't see that happening. Like, I think United will win 2-0. They'll keep a clean sheet. I don't see
Yeah.
Leicester really scoring goals. But hey, who knows? There might be like a Mark Skinner disaster class, and uh,
I mean, I really hope so. If he loses to Leicester, then I think he loses his job. Like
oh
honestly.
no, but he's too fun. He needs to stay in the league. The
Yeah.
entertainment. I mean, I get really wound up, but still, after like 10 minutes, I can like laugh at him. But that's just about it. That wraps up our game week 7 review. We have some exciting guests coming in to review game week 8. So, um, as always, everybody, please subscribe to our channel, like our videos. Yes, Ash, go for it.
No, just before we let you go, we are only 6 subscribers short of 200. So we would
Oh,
really,
nice.
really appreciate if you could get us there, or because we've just started this channel and the response has been amazing. So we would really appreciate that little bit of a bump.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Please do hit that subscribe button and keep watching our videos and commenting. It's been fun to chat with some of you in the comment section. Yeah, and we will catch you next week reviewing Game Week 8. Bye.